No garden? No problem. No yard? Still no problem. Because the 10 fruit trees we are covering today do not need a large garden, a sprawling orchard, or even a patch of ground to produce real, delicious, abundant fruit. They need a pot, some sun, and the right knowledge. And that is exactly what today's video provides. Let's get into all 10. Before we start, if you are new here, welcome to the channel. We bring you honest, practical garden content every single week that helps you grow more food in whatever space you have. Hit that subscribe button right now and tap the bell so you never miss a new video. And if today's video helps you grow your own fruit from a pot on your patio or balcony, a quick thumbs up takes 1 second and helps this reach more gardeners who need it. We appreciate every single one of you. Now, let's go to the video. Okay, most people assume fruit growing requires space they do not have. That assumption stops thousands of people from ever growing their own fruit. But container fruit growing is genuinely productive, not a compromise version of real fruit growing, but a legitimate, time-tested method that professional nurseries, urban farmers, and home growers worldwide use to produce abundant harvests from tiny spaces. The key is choosing varieties specifically suited to container life. That is exactly what today's list does. Let's meet them. Item number 1, Dwarf Meyer Lemon, the indoor-outdoor citrus that produces year-round. Dwarf Meyer Lemon, botanical name Citrus X Meyeri. The Meyer lemon is the most popular and most widely grown container citrus in the world, and for very good reason. It is a natural hybrid between a lemon and a mandarin orange, which gives the fruit a sweeter, less acidic flavor than standard supermarket lemons, and gives the tree a more compact, manageable growth habit that suits container life beautifully. In a 15 to 20 gallon pot in full sun, a Dwarf Meyer lemon reaches 4 to 6 feet tall, a perfectly manageable size that fits on a patio, balcony, or in a sunny garden corner. The tree is nearly ever blooming, producing fragrant white flowers and developing fruit almost continuously through the year in warm conditions, meaning you can have ripe lemons to harvest in almost every season. The fragrance of the flowers alone justifies growing this tree. Intensely sweet, clean, and citrusy in a way that fills the surrounding space with genuine pleasure every time you walk past. Key benefit: Meyer lemons are genuinely productive in containers. A healthy, established tree in a good-sized pot produces 30 to 50 or more lemons per year. The fruit stays on the tree for months after ripening without dropping, giving you a flexible, on-demand harvest rather than a single, concentrated flush. Zones 9 through 11 can grow them outdoors year-round. In colder zones, simply bring the container indoors before the first frost. The tree adapts well to indoor conditions in a bright, sunny window. Caution: citrus in containers is hungry and needs regular feeding. Use a specialist citrus fertilizer, not a generic all-purpose fertilizer, applied every 4 to 6 weeks through the growing season. Yellowing leaves on a container citrus almost always indicate either nutritional deficiency or waterlogging. Check drainage first, then assess feeding frequency. Item number 2, fig tree, the ancient fruit that loves being pot-bound. Fig tree, botanical name Ficus carica. Best container varieties: Petite Negra, Little Miss Figgy, Brown Turkey. The fig is one of the oldest cultivated fruits in human history, grown continuously for over 11,000 years. And it is one of the most naturally suited fruit trees to container growing of any species available. Here's the key fact that makes figs so perfect for pots. Figs fruit more prolifically when their roots are constrained. A fig tree whose root system is slightly restricted by its container directs its energy toward fruit production rather than excessive vegetative growth. This means the lazy gardener who never gets around to repotting their fig is accidentally doing exactly the right thing. Container growing produces better crops than open ground in many situations. Fig trees in containers reach a very manageable 4 to 6 feet and produce the most extraordinarily delicious fruit available from any home garden. Warm, honey-sweet, jammy figs eaten fresh from the tree on a sunny afternoon are one of the greatest simple pleasures in food growing. Key benefit: figs are self-fertile. You only need one tree for a full harvest. They are drought-tolerant once established, making them genuinely forgiving of imperfect watering. And in colder climates, zones 6 and below, container growing is actually the best way to grow figs because you can overwinter them in an unheated garage or shed, protecting them from the frost damage that kills ground-planted fig trees in harsh winters, while having a productive tree outdoors all summer. Caution: figs produce 2 crops per year, the Bariba crop on last season's wood in early summer, and the main crop on new season's wood in late summer and autumn. Never prune a fig heavily in spring. You remove the embryonic Bariba fruits that are already developing on last year's growth. Prune lightly only, removing dead or crossing branches, and always after the Bariba harvest is complete. Item number 3, dwarf apple. The classic fruit in a container-friendly size. Dwarf apple. Botanical name Malus domestica on dwarfing rootstock, M27, M9, or Bud 9. Columnar varieties also excellent. Apple growing is not just for people with large gardens and traditional orchards. Dwarf apple trees on ultra-dwarfing rootstocks like M27 stay genuinely compact, reaching only 4 to 6 feet at full maturity, and produce full-sized, full-flavored apples from a container as small as 15 gallons. Columnar apple varieties, sometimes called ballerina apples, grow in a single upright column with almost no spreading side branches, reaching 5 to 7 feet tall and less than 2 feet wide. They are ideal for small patios and balconies where space is genuinely restricted. Choose varieties that are self-fertile where possible. Braeburn, Golden Delicious, and most columnar varieties produce reasonable crops without a pollination partner. For the best harvests, growing 2 compatible varieties near each other significantly improves fruit set. Key benefit: apples on M27 rootstock begin producing fruit in their 2nd or 3rd year from planting, significantly faster than standard-sized apple trees that take 5 to 7 years. Container growing also makes apple cultivation possible in climates where late spring frosts regularly damage open ground blossoms. You can move the container to a protected position during frost periods and return it to full sun once the cold spell passes. Caution: apples need a period of winter cold, called chilling hours, to flower and fruit successfully the following season. Most varieties require between 500 and 1,000 hours below 45 degrees Fahrenheit. In very mild climates, zones 9 and 10, choose specifically low-chill apple varieties developed for warm winters. Standard varieties grown in insufficient chill conditions produce poor or no flowering. Item number 4, blueberry. The superfood shrub that demands acidic soil and rewards generously. Blueberry. Botanical name Vaccinium corymbosum, highbush. Vaccinium ashii, rabbit eye for southern growers. Blueberries are not technically a tree. They are a fruiting shrub, but they belong on this list because they are one of the most productive, most nutritionally valuable, and most container-suited fruiting plants available to any home grower with limited space. In containers, they have a significant advantage over ground planting. You control the soil pH precisely. Blueberries are extremely particular about soil acidity. They need pH between 4.5 and 5.5. In most garden soils that have not been specifically prepared, the pH is too high and blueberries grow poorly, turn yellow, and produce little fruit. In a container filled with ericaceous, acid, compost, and watered with rainwater rather than tap water, the pH is exactly right, and blueberries thrive and produce abundantly. A mature, well-established blueberry bush produces 6 to 12 pounds of berries per season. Remarkable productivity from a container planting. Key benefit: blueberries provide 4-season visual value in addition to their extraordinary fruit harvest. Spring flowering is delicate and beautiful. Summer fruiting cycles through green, pink, and deep blue as berries ripen across a 6 to 8 week harvest window. Autumn foliage turns spectacular shades of crimson and orange. Winter stems are often attractively colored. A container blueberry is genuinely contributing to your garden's appearance in every single month of the year. Caution: blueberries are not self-fertile in the way most other container fruit plants are. Plant at least 2 different varieties for cross-pollination. Even varieties labeled as self-fertile produce dramatically more fruit with a cross-pollination partner nearby. Choose varieties that bloom at the same time for effective cross-pollination. Your local nursery can advise on compatible pairing for your specific climate zone. Item number 5, dwarf cherry. The most beautiful blossom and most rewarding summer harvest. Dwarf cherry. Botanical name: Prunus avium and Prunus cerasus on dwarfing rootstock. Gisela 5. Best self-fertile varieties: Stella, Compact Stella, Sweetheart. Cherry trees in blossom are among the most beautiful flowering trees in the world, and dwarf cherry varieties on Gisela 5 rootstock bring that extraordinary spring display into a container sized perfectly for a patio or balcony. Stella is the most widely recommended self-fertile sweet cherry for containers, reaching a manageable 5 to 7 feet on Gisela 5 rootstock, producing abundant clusters of deep red, sweet, juicy cherries in early to midsummer that are genuinely superior in flavor to anything available commercially. Cherries are harvested and eaten within hours of picking at home, a quality of freshness that no supermarket cherry, picked days before sale and transported long distances, can match. The fruit develops and ripens so quickly that commercial cherries must be harvested slightly underripe. Homegrown cherries, eaten fully ripe from the tree, are an entirely different experience. Key benefit: growing cherries in containers gives you control that open ground growers do not have. You can net the container easily against bird damage. Birds find ripe cherries irresistible and can strip an unprotected tree completely within hours of the fruit reaching full ripeness. Container growing also allows you to move the tree under cover during the flowering period to protect blossom from late spring frosts, the most common cause of no-crop years in cherry growing. Caution: consistent moisture is critical during fruit development. Irregular watering, periods of drought followed by heavy watering, causes cherry fruits to crack and split as they develop. Cracked cherries are vulnerable to brown rot fungal infection that ruins the entire crop rapidly. Maintain consistent soil moisture through the fruit development period, from flowering through to harvest, and the crack problem is almost entirely preventable. Item number 6, dwarf peach. The fragrant, self-fertile summer fruit that thrives in containers. Dwarf peach. Botanical name: Prunus persica. Genetic dwarf varieties. Best varieties: Bonanza, Pix Z, Garden Lady. Genetic dwarf peach varieties. Not standard peaches on dwarfing rootstock, but naturally compact varieties that stay small through their own genetic makeup, are among the most productive and most rewarding container fruit plants available. Bonanza is the most widely available and most reliable genetic dwarf peach, staying naturally compact at 4 to 6 feet without any pruning required to maintain its size. It is self-fertile. One tree produces a full crop without requiring any pollination partner. The fruit is full-sized. Not a miniature peach, but a genuine, full-flavored, fragrant peach of the highest quality. In a large container of 15 gallons or more in full sun, a healthy genetic dwarf peach tree produces 20 to 50 peaches per season. A sun-warmed, tree-ripened peach eaten fresh is one of the most extraordinary fruit experiences available in home growing. The flavor depth, the fragrance, and the juice of a fully ripe peach from your own tree is genuinely incomparable to anything in a supermarket. Key benefit: peaches are self-fertile. Every variety on this list flowers and fruits without needing a second tree nearby. They also tend to set more fruit than the branches can comfortably carry, which requires thinning the crop when fruits are the size of a marble, removing every other fruit so the remaining ones develop to full size. This thinning feels counterintuitive, but produces far better results than leaving all the fruit on the tree. Caution: peach leaf curl, a fungal disease that causes leaves to pucker, blister, and turn red in spring, is the primary pest and disease challenge in container peach growing. It is almost entirely preventable with a single application of copper-based fungicide spray applied in late winter before the buds begin to open. Miss this window and the disease cannot be controlled that season. One timely spray in late winter protects the tree for the entire growing season. Item number 7. Dwarf pomegranate, the drought-tolerant superfood tree of spectacular beauty. Dwarf pomegranate, botanical name Punica granatum nana, dwarf variety. The dwarf pomegranate is simultaneously one of the most ornamentally beautiful and most genuinely low-maintenance container fruit trees available. Nana, the dwarf variety, stays naturally compact at 2 to 4 feet in a container, making it suitable even for small balconies where space is genuinely limited. The flowers are spectacularly beautiful. Vivid orange-red, crumpled, satin-like petals of extraordinary intensity that appear in abundance throughout summer. The fruit that follows? Small, deep red pomegranates of genuine edible quality, ripens in autumn. In zones 7 through 11, the tree is fully hardy outdoors in its container year-round. In colder zones, it is brought indoors before frost and makes an excellent bright windowsill plant through winter. The tree is drought-tolerant once established, a genuine advantage in container growing where consistent watering is sometimes challenging. Key benefit: pomegranate berries, the arils, contain punicalagins and punicic acid that give pomegranate one of the highest antioxidant concentrations of any fruit measured. The juice has 3 times the antioxidant activity of red wine and green tea. Growing your own means eating fruit at true ripeness, when antioxidant content is at its absolute peak, rather than the partially ripened fruit that reaches store shelves after long-distance transport and cold storage. Caution: pomegranates need genuine heat and full sun to ripen their fruit fully. A container pomegranate in a partially shaded position produces beautiful flowers, but rarely develops fruit to full sweetness and ripeness. Position in the hottest, sunniest spot available. South-facing walls that reflect and radiate heat are ideal. In cooler climates, growing against a south-facing wall significantly extends the effective season and improves fruit quality. Item number 8. Olive tree. The most long-lived, most architectural container fruit tree available. Olive tree. Botanical name, Olea europaea. Best container variety, Arbequina. The olive tree is in a category of its own among container fruit trees, not just for the extraordinary quality and versatility of its fruit, but for its longevity, its architectural beauty, and its almost mythological ability to survive conditions that would kill most other trees. Olive trees live for centuries. The gnarled, silver-leaved, deeply characterful specimen trees that make Italian and Greek gardens so distinctive are ordinary garden trees that have simply been left to grow for a very long time. In a container, an olive tree grows slowly and remains manageable, reaching 5 to 8 feet over many years, developing an increasingly beautiful, increasingly characterful form with age. Arbequina is the most widely recommended variety for container growing, a compact, heavy-fruiting Spanish variety that adapts well to pot culture and produces small, richly flavored olives suitable for both curing and oil production. Key benefit: container olive trees are among the most drought-tolerant and lowest-maintenance fruiting plants available. They evolved in the dry, rocky, nutrient-poor conditions of the Mediterranean basin and genuinely prefer lean, well-draining soil over rich, moisture-retentive compost. They require minimal feeding, minimal watering once established, and very little pruning to maintain a beautiful form. For gardeners who travel frequently or who have limited time for plant maintenance, the olive is perhaps the most naturally self-sufficient productive container plant available. Caution: most olive varieties need 2 trees for reliable fruit production. They are not self-fertile. Plant 2 different olive varieties near each other for cross-pollination and significantly improved fruit set. Arbequina is partially self-fertile and produces reasonable crops alone, but performance improves noticeably with a second variety nearby. Also be aware that olives in containers in cold climates, below Zone 7, need frost protection or indoor overwintering, as they are not cold hardy below approximately 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Item number 9. Dwarf plum. The heavy cropping, easy care container stone fruit dwarf plum. Botanical name, Prunus domestica, on pixie dwarfing rootstock. Best varieties, Victoria, Opal, Jubilee. Plums on pixie dwarfing rootstock are one of the most reliably productive and least demanding of all container fruit trees, staying naturally compact at 5 to 8 feet, beginning to fruit within 2 to 3 years of planting, and producing generous crops of sweet, richly flavored plums with far less attention and intervention than apples or cherries require. Victoria is the most widely grown and most consistently reliable variety, a partially self-fertile plum of outstanding flavor that produces heavy crops of large, red-yellow plums in late summer. The flavor of a fully ripe Victoria plum eaten warm from the tree, sweet, honeyed, and complex in a way that no cold-stored supermarket plum approaches, is one of the benchmarks of late summer garden pleasure. In a container of 15 to 20 gallons in full sun, a pixie-rooted plum establishes quickly, grows vigorously, and fruits abundantly with minimal care required beyond annual pruning and regular watering through the fruiting season. Key benefit: plums are the most generous heavy croppers of all the stone fruits in container growing. In a good year, a single, well-established container plum can produce so much fruit that thinning becomes necessary, removing a proportion of the developing fruits when they are still small to prevent branches breaking under excessive weight and to ensure the remaining fruits develop to full size and full sweetness. Caution: plums must never be pruned in winter, unlike apples and pears that are traditionally winter pruned. Pruning plums in winter exposes fresh cut wounds to silver leaf disease and bacterial canker, the two most serious plum diseases which enter through pruning cuts. Always prune plums in late spring or summer when the tree is in active growth and natural wound-sealing mechanisms are operating at full capacity. Item number 10. Dwarf mandarin and clementine, the most productive container citrus with the best flavor. Dwarf mandarin and clementine. Botanical name: Citrus reticulata. Best varieties: Clemenules, Owari satsuma, Pixie mandarin. If Meyer lemon is the most popular container citrus, dwarf mandarin and clementine are the most productive, capable of producing 50 to 100 or more fruits per season on an established container tree, making them the highest yielding container citrus available to the home grower. The fruit is sweeter than lemon and eaten fresh directly from the tree rather than used as a flavoring, which means the harvest is immediately enjoyed and immediately appreciated rather than waiting to be used in cooking. Clementines and satsumas are seedless or nearly seedless, easy to peel, and produced in such abundance on a healthy container tree that the sight of a heavily laden mandarin tree in a large terracotta pot is one of the most beautiful and most abundantly productive sights in the container garden. Owari satsuma is the most cold-tolerant mandarin variety, hardy to approximately 20 degrees Fahrenheit, making it suitable for outdoor container growing in zones 8 and above with minimal protection. Key benefit: mandarin and clementine trees grown indoors in colder climates produce fruit that benefits from hand pollination, using a small, soft paintbrush to transfer pollen from flower to flower within the same tree when grown without outdoor insect pollinator access. This simple 5-minute technique during flowering significantly improves fruit set in indoor-grown citrus and is the difference between a tree that produces a handful of fruit and one that produces a genuinely impressive indoor harvest. Caution: all container citrus, including mandarins, is vulnerable to spider mite infestation in indoor conditions where low humidity and warm, dry air create ideal conditions for these tiny pests. Check leaf undersides regularly with a magnifying glass for the characteristic tiny moving dots and fine webbing. Treat immediately with insecticidal soap spray at the first sign of infestation. Spider mite populations double within days in favorable indoor conditions, and a mild infestation becomes severe very quickly without prompt intervention. 10 fruit trees, all container-friendly, all genuinely productive, and all proof that you do not need a large garden to grow your own fruit. You just need the right trees in the right pots with the right knowledge. Meyer lemon for year-round citrus. Fig for the tree that loves being pot-bound. Dwarf apple for the classic harvest in compact form. Blueberry for superfood productivity and 4-season beauty. Dwarf cherry for the most beautiful blossom and the finest summer fruit. Dwarf peach for fragrant, sun-warmed perfection. Dwarf pomegranate for drought-tolerant beauty and extraordinary nutrition. Olive for timeless architectural elegance and self-sufficient productivity. Dwarf plum for the most generous stone fruit harvest. And dwarf mandarin for the most abundant citrus crop available from a single container. Thank you so sincerely for watching today. Every single one of you watching this, we genuinely appreciate you being here. If today's video has convinced you that container fruit growing is absolutely within your reach, please hit that like button right now. Share this with every small space gardener you know who thinks fruit growing is only for people with large gardens. And if you are not yet subscribed, now is your moment. Hit subscribe and tap that bell so you never miss a weekly upload. We will see you in the very next video. Until then, pick your tree, find your pot, and start growing your own fruit. Happy growing!